Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's most ghoulish music nerd, and it's time for an album review. Ghoul, Transmission Zero. In Ghoul's sort of fictional little world, they are from a land called Creepsylvania, but from what I understand they are actually from Oakland.
Ooh, where's that?
Well, it's in California, but if you ever go there, make sure to protect your neck, because if you don't, you might get choked! Why do you think they call it Chokeland?
Freaky.
Yep, that's where they're from. These guys are a thrash metal band, but they're one of the most personality-driven thrash metal acts I've heard in a while. The vocals that they have going are done in a really death metal style. They have a very Misfits-esque horror movie fetish going on. And Ghoul also has this very theatrical, over-the-top, dramatic, gwar kind of shtick going for them too. Musically, like I said, these guys do play thrash, but they've got this really lean, straightforward crossover thrash thing. Gang vocals and fast paces and just an in-your-face aesthetic that I think fans of DRI or suicidal tendencies will be able to get into as well. What also influences this band's music a little bit is surf rock. In a couple of tracks, these guys actually managed to work in the drum beats, bass lines, and guitar leads that you would normally hear in a surf song, but the thrash elements and the death metal vocals are still there. It just doesn't clash in the way that I thought it would initially. It becomes a part of Ghoul's sound. And that sound ends up being kind of exciting and conflicting to me at the same time, because I don't know whether to just get up and start moshing and elbowing things, or go on YouTube and start looking up old episodes of Tales from the Crypt. Now, to bring the shtick that these guys have going for them even further, the lyrics, the songs on this album actually tell a story, a very comic book-like story filled with cartoony gore that makes it about as fun to follow as like a Toxic Avenger film. The story this record tells features the four members of the band going on this bloody and horrifying adventure involving killer robots and cannibalism and mind control and voodoo curses, drugs and cultists as well. Even though there are elements of punk on here, thrash metal and death metal, all very aggressive, hard-hitting genres, Ghoul takes everything that is so grim about these styles of music, so dark and so serious, and they make it pretty fun. To me, it's kind of lighthearted, because you don't need to take it really seriously. But Ghoul's respective members have toured with or played in plenty of metal bands who are taken really seriously, like Wolves in the Throne Room, Dystopia, Ludicra, Asunder, and the band Impaled, who I actually think they share the most characteristics with. Now, sound-wise, I really love this record. I think it's got a lot to offer. The drums just have this really nice punch to them. The cymbals get a little lost in the background for me a bit, but the guitars are really where a lot of this record's guts come from. They've got this nice, heavy crunch to them that sounds fantastic. Its sound kind of reminds me a little bit of that new Toxic Holocaust record, Conjure and Command. So yeah, I do think these guys improved their sound beyond their last record, Splatter Thrash, but they also refine themselves musically a bit too, I think. The music on this thing to me just feels less chaotic, less messy. The riffs have a lot of muscle to them, and they're really catchy because these guys are hitting great grooves. And even though these riffs are pretty hard-hitting, I think a lot of them are evened out because these guys managed to color them in some really nice solos and leads. As far as negatives on this album go, there aren't a lot, but some of the riffs, some of the solos do sound a little generic, kind of cliche. If you're a thrash metal fan, you've heard build-ups, leads, and solos like this before. So that makes some of the moments on here kind of a forgettable blur to me. If it wasn't for the story, the good production, just the personality of this band, I wouldn't be riding with these songs as hard as I am right now. And I'm sure for some people, metalheads and non-metalheads, this record is gonna, I don't know, have a little too much kitsch for you. Might be too silly for you, I don't know. And though it is an important part of the storyline, I feel like the song Morning of the Mesmetron is a little too long, a little too drawn out. This 8-minute monster among all these like 2 to 3 minute thrash punk tunes with death metal vocals. But overall, if you're a metalhead, I think this is going to be the most fun you're going to have with a metal record this year. And even if you're not huge on metal, I still think this is worth trying. Even though these guys are really excessive, they kind of do it in a pretty self-aware way. Which, you know, really hits home for me on the last track where one of the lyrics say, "Spill your blood for rock and roll." I'm loving the hell out of this thing, feeling like a decent 8 on this. Really fun, enjoyable, solid record with a good variety of different sounds on here that let me separate one tune from another pretty easily. But what do you think about it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why? And what do you think I should review next? Anthony Fantano, Ghoul, forever.